First, the top news headlines. National People's Party announces withdrawal of support from Biren Singh-led government in Manipur, citing worsening law and order situation and failure to restore normalcy. Bodies of woman and child found in Barak River, believed to be victims of November 11 Kuki Mar militant abduction in Jiribam, raising bodies, recovery told to 5 official identities awaited. Manipur Congress demands urgent meeting between Manipur's political leaders and Prime Minister Modi over escalating violence, threatens resignations and fresh mandate if action is not taken. Curfew in Valley districts triggers severe disruptions. Security forces deploy in high-risk areas amid protests over alleged atrocities by suspected Kuki militants against abducted women and children. CRPF DG Anish Dayal Singh visits Manipur amid escalating violence, holds high-level meeting to assess security situation and plan response. And mobs attack Chief Minister's residence, ministers and MLA's homes. Security forces deploy tear gas and live ammunition, leaving 8 injured and 23 arrested. A very good evening. You are watching IS Primetime English News. This is Suraj Khongban Tabam giving you the news. Now the news in detail. The National People's Party NPP, led by its National President Conrad K. Sangma, has announced its decision to withdraw support from the Biren Singh-led government in Manipur. Of the total 60 MLAs of Manipur, the NPP has 7 MLAs, namely Sheikh Nurul Hassan from Khetrigao Assembly Constituency, Khuraizam Loken Singh from Wangoi Assembly Constituency, Irengbam Nalini Devi from Oinam Assembly Constituency, Thongam Santi Singh from Moirang Assembly Constituency, Mayang Lambam Rameshwar Singh from Moirang Assembly Constituency, and Kaisi from Tadubi Assembly Constituency, and Zehimlong Panmay from Tamenglong Assembly Constituency. The decision was conveyed through a letter addressed to BJP National President Jagat Prakash Nadda. In the letter, the NPP expressed grave concern over the worsening law and order situation in Manipur. It highlighted the loss of innocent lives in recent days and the immense suffering endured by the state's people. The party stated that it strongly felt the Manipur government, under the leadership of Chief Minister Biren Singh, had failed to address the crisis and restore normalcy in the state. Citing the deteriorating situation, the NPP declared its immediate withdrawal of support to the BJP-led coalition government in Manipur. In a tragic development, 2 more bodies, those of a woman and a child, were discovered today in separate incidents along the Barak River, raising the bodies' recovery total to 5 in the last few days. The bodies are believed to be those of 6 women and children who were abducted during the violent attack on November 11 in Jiribam, allegedly carried out by suspected Kuki Mar militants. While there has been no official confirmation from the government regarding the identities of the bodies, authorities suspect that the recovered remains belong to the missing victims. The first body, that of a woman, was found at Barak River in Baskande's Puran Bazar Ferry Ghat in Kasar district, Assam, by a team from Lakhipur police. The body has been sent to the morgue at Silchar Medical College Hospital for identification. Eyewitnesses speculate that the woman may be Urembam Rani Devi, a 66-year-old woman, among the 6 abducted victims from Chiripam. In a separate discovery, a child's body was recovered from the Tolenkhun area, also from the Barak River, by Lakhipur police and the State Disaster Response Force teams. According to reports, the child's body was found wrapped inside a sack, adding to the horror of the discovery. These new findings follow the recovery of 3 bodies, including that of another woman and 2 children, 2 days ago from Jiri River and the Barak River. All 5 bodies, including those found today, are believed to be those of the 6 women and children abducted during the November 11 attack in Jiribam, allegedly carried out by suspected Kuki Mar militants. Suspected Kukimar militants attacks continued unabated in Jiribam district as a renewed attack was launched at Mongbung Meitei Khul yesterday around 6 p.m. The assault led to an exchange of gunfire between the attackers and the local village volunteers, who in a separate incident, the body of an unidentified man was discovered late last evening in an area between Sonapur and Aglapur. Local residents reported the finding to the police, who retrieved the body at approximately 9:30 p.m. and transported it to the Jiribam Hospital morgue for further investigation. Meanwhile, the 48-hour general strike called by the Jiri United Club JUC entered its second day in Jiribam today. Security forces maintain a strict vigil to ensure law and order, preventing any major incidents. However, reports emerged of property being set ablaze by mobs last night, though no further clashes or untoward incidents have been reported so far. In respect to the escalating violence and the recent killings of women and children by suspected Kuki militants, the Congress party in Manipur has demanded that Chief Minister and Biren Singh urgently arrange a meeting between all political parties in the state and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The demand was met by the leader of the Congress Legislative Party, Okram Ibobi, during a press briefing at his official residence in Babupara, Imphal. Ibobi stated that if the Chief Minister fails to secure an appointment with the Prime Minister, there would be no justification for continuing with the current BJP-led government in Manipur. Ibobi emphasized that for the 5 Congress MLAs in the state, resignation would be the only option if the central government continues to ignore the pleas of all political parties. He urged the Chief Minister to facilitate the meeting with the Prime Minister as soon as Modi returns from his foreign trip, highlighting that if no concrete action is taken after the meeting, the Congress MLAs would resign. Ibobi also pointed out that given the government's failure to act, there would be a need for a fresh mandate from the people. The press conference was attended by other state Congress leaders, including Lok Sabha MP Bimola Koizam, who condemned the recent killings of abducted victims, particularly women and children, describing it as an act of terror. He criticized the government's inability to take action against those responsible for these atrocities and stated that the center's silence on the issue amounts to defying the Constitution of India. Both Koizam and Ibobi called for immediate intervention from the Prime Minister, Home Minister and Chief Minister to address the deteriorating situation in the state.
Due to failure of the NDA government at the center, aduga sidalariba state government gi BJP gi government samna harabada double engine government animaksigi failure machine maram oiduna Manipur gi issue se matam chana tekul tawbidaba machine maram oiduna hojikti kada yora piba angang tha taret ni panda ngairiba mamana matha da konjariba nupi angang khaktana madusu moigi khutta lairaba amagi wanatana nupi angang khaktana hala basi phauda Prime Minister na kanbu kanbige haigadi maha huji pudi out of country woi adu ma chatring aida aina kanjabadadi ma chatring aida masigi laibuk thiba thodoksi thoobane second amagi minute amagi manungda no sidi yaroi aduna sugumba yamna inhuman oiba sidi yaroi world gi betare ko koigi jiklairiba government state government se chief minister lead torga Prime Minister si mana foreign country de hek halakpada appointment launa raba tawbiroba machine hoigi sarkar paiminariba double engine gi responsibility ne ba ada karigumba appointment si pirak tragadi akoi makhata ba step se kari lojige di akoi ulab amu khanaba ma darka waira ani haina ai sumai tawna thamjage
chahi thani pan khakta ngai riba sokpa sigi brutality se sidi khoi gina condemn to gum to en loje ba gi phami ba humpu aduga parliament chaliba khoi ani ahum miyam gi mihut ngaktani miyamgi voice ngang no ba chatpane ba miyamgi apam si chatpane aduga leminari ba lepak miyam sibu lengak tana lamjing na ba chatna na ba gi miyam na khalak ba mi ngak tane ba aduna akhoi gi state assembly leijare har ga ba thawai bidabagi type sum tawraga di India gi constitution gi mayok ta chatpadana tana Manipur miyam su usi thawai dabane na idi lawje mathau tawdana leiba leipak miyam gi mihut haiba maga mathau tawdaba leipak miyam amagi mihut haiba maga di ai praja singai khutno na haijajin masimata di khena bamadi khangma mamma changi haiba simde haijage.
The indefinite curfew imposed by the state government since yesterday afternoon in response to escalating violence in the valley districts has severely disrupted daily life across the region. Security forces have enforced strict restrictions on public vehicular movement in key areas of Imphal, particularly around high security zones near the Chief Minister's bungalow and Raj Bhavan. These measures are aimed at containing tensions in areas deemed particularly vulnerable to unrest. In addition to the curfew, both central and state security forces have been deployed to volatile regions with the objective of preventing further violence and maintaining public order. The ongoing situation has led to widespread protests in several localities where residents have rallied against the alleged atrocities committed by suspected Kuki militants, particularly targeting abducted women and children. These protests have further intensified the already fragile security atmosphere in the state. Meanwhile, irate mobs has stormed the residence of Mayang Imphal Assembly constituency MLA Kongkham Robindro this evening. Thereafter, the state government has ordered a 2-day suspension of internet and mobile data services in 7 districts, including Imphal West, Imphal East, Bishnupur, Thoubal, Kakching, Kangpokpi and Churchandpur. The government had issued new order of suspending the internet services in Jiribam and Farzol districts with immediate effect from 11:45 a.m. today for 2 days. Similar to the previous order, this new order stated that the internet ban are exempted for those lease lines and FTTH connections to government offices or any case whereby the state government grants exemption. This decision was made in response to concerns over the potential misuse of social media by anti-social elements to spread inflammatory content, hate speech and false rumors, which could escalate tensions and disrupt public order. The suspension will last for 2 days and cover services such as broadband, mobile data and VSATs, with exceptions for government offices and specific cases authorized by the state. The order aims to prevent potential violence and damage to public and private property. The government has warned that any violations of this directive could result in legal action. The announcement was made by Chief Secretary Dr. Vinit Joshi under the provisions of the Temporary Suspension of Telecom Services Rules 2017. In light of the escalating violence in Manipur, which has been gripped with unrest over 18 months, security forces have been directed to take strict action to restore order and ensure peace in the state. A release by the Ministry of Home Affairs stated that the fragile security situation marked by violent activities involving armed miscreants from both sides of the ongoing conflict has led to tragic loss of lives and disruption of public order. The ministry have issued a stern warning against engaging in violent or disruptive acts, emphasizing that such behavior will face decisive and stringent measures. To strengthen investigative efforts, crucial cases have been handed over to the National Investigation Agency, also known as the NIA. The government has urged the public to maintain calm, avoid falling prey to rumors, and cooperate with the security forces as they work to restore normalcy. This call for cooperation comes amidst a series of measures aimed at curbing violence and stabilizing the situation in the region. On this second day of the ongoing 48-hour ban, Maira Paibi and local clubs under the jurisdiction of Pioneer Club Langol, along with Maira Paibi from Jumzau Manbi, Wangdrei, Zone 4 block the Langol Game Village Road, despite the public curfew imposed by the state government. The roadblocks were relaxed for essential services and religious ceremonies. Secretary of Thongak Lairembi Masai Kol Semgat Sagat Nupilup Rezia Sorensangbam expressed support for all public movements, including the hunger strike protest that is scheduled to begin the following day by the Uripok Apunbalop. She reaffirmed their commitment to stand with the people in their ongoing struggle. Condemning the alleged killing of 3 individuals, including an infant, by suspected Kuki militants after abduction at Jiribam, the staff of Langol View Laboratory Clinic and Langol View Hospital and Research Institute Private Limited staged a sit-in protest in front of the hospital in Imphal. Speaking to the media at the protest site, Marketing Manager Nunglepam Suraj expressed strong condemnation against the killings and urged the government to act as per the public demands. A roadblock protest was held in Thobal Charangpat, where a large group of demonstrators raised slogans against the central government, demanding urgent action against the Kuki Jau narco-terrorist and the resignation of state legislatures. The protesters voiced their frustration over the government's failure to rescue women and children who were reportedly abducted by suspected Kuki militants. These individuals are believed to be among the bodies recently discovered in the Barak River. Participants in the protest condemned the government's response to the crisis, particularly its decision to ban internet services, which they argued was an attempt to suppress public dissent and silence the growing movement. The demonstrators warned that if the government did not take swift and decisive action, public anger could escalate, potentially leading to further unrest and widespread discontent. Meanwhile, the Thobal Apunbalop organized a sit-in protest near Mela Ground along National Highway 102, calling for the designation of organizations such as KOTU, ITLF and Kuki militants groups as terrorist organizations. The protesters strongly condemned the recent abductions and alleged killings of women and children by suspected Kuki militants in Jiribam. Speaking to the media, the Publicity Secretary of Thobal Apunbalop S. Amarjit expressed outrage over the atrocities, which he described as heinous acts targeting innocent civilians. He specifically condemned the alleged involvement of Kuki militants in the abductions, stressing that the victims' families were still in shock over the loss of their loved ones. The group demanded a judicial inquiry into the matter within the next 48 hours to identify and apprehend the Kuki militants responsible for these crimes. The protesters emphasized the need for swift action by the government to ensure justice for the victims and to hold the perpetrators accountable. The Director General of the Central Reserve Police Force, CRPF, Anish Dayal Singh, who also holds the additional charge as the DG of National Security Guard, visited Manipur today in response to the escalating violence and protest in the Valley District following the discovery of bodies believed to be those of women and children abducted by suspected Kuki militants. The victims were reportedly taken during an attack on September 11th in Jiribam, where suspected Kuki militants allegedly carried out the abductions. During the initial assault on Jiribam, a CRPF Jawan was injured, and in retaliation, security forces reportedly killed 10 suspected Kuki militants. Soon after reaching Imphal, he visited the CRPF group center at Langching. Later in the day, the CRPF DZ held a high-level meeting with senior state government officials and top security personnel to assess the situation and discuss security strategies. The meeting is expected to result in enhanced security measures in the affected areas as well as efforts to calm the volatile situation in the region. Following attacks at the homes of several ministers and MLAs, vandalizing properties and vehicles, last night the irate mobs targeted the residence of Chief Minister and Biren in Luang Sangbam. The protest arose following the discovery of 3 bodies believed to be those of the 6 women and children abducted during the November 11 attack in Jiribam, allegedly carried out by suspected Kukimar militants. Security forces deployed near the residence of the Chief Minister responded with a barrage of tear gas shells to disperse the crowd, which continued till late night. In response to the mob attacks at the residences of various ministers in different locations of Imphal East and West, Central Security Forces guarding the residences resorted to extreme measures, including firing live rounds in addition to tear gas. A video circulating on social media purportedly shows Central Forces firing directly at protesters, further fueling public outrage. At least 8 people sustained injuries and 23 individuals were arrested as mobs targeted the houses and properties of ministers and MLAs in Imphal yesterday, according to a release by the Manipur Police Control Room. It stated that the unrest prompted police to fire tear gas shells to disperse the crowd, while security forces, including the Army and Assam Rifles, were deployed to contain the violence. The arrested individuals apprehended from Imphal East, Imphal West and Bishnupur districts were found in possession of a .32 pistol, 7 rounds of SBBL and 8 mobile phones. Flag marches were conducted in sensitive areas and senior police officials, including superintendents of police and commanding officers, have been stationed to oversee law and order operations. In another incident yesterday, protesters in Hatta tore down hoardings featuring Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chief Minister N. Biren Singh erected along road medians. The protest, led by members of the Meitei Pangal community, saw around 500 participants chanting slogans condemning the violence and the government's perceived inaction. The agitation culminated in a torch rally which started at Hatta and proceeded to Konung Mamang, drawing attention to the community's growing frustration. Additionally, widespread protests erupted across the valley areas of Manipur yesterday, with significant demonstrations reported in various locations and junctions. The unrest, fueled by public outrage over the recent killings of innocent women and children, led to tense confrontations between protesters and security forces in several areas, continuing late into the night. The Manipur government has officially urged the Ministry of Home Affairs to review and withdraw the recent declaration of 6 police stations jurisdictions as disturbed areas under the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, UPSPA 1958. In a later address to the Union Home Secretary by the Joint Secretary Home of Manipur, Dr. Mayangbam Veto, it was conveyed the state government's position following the centre's notification of extending UPSPA in the jurisdictions of Sekmai, Lamsang, Lamlai, Jiribam, Leimakong and Moirang police stations. The issue was deliberated upon during a cabinet meeting held on November 15, where the state government unanimously decided to recommend the withdrawal of the declaration. The decision, according to the letter, was met in the interest of public welfare, it emphasizing the move's importance for maintaining peace and ensuring public confidence. The UPSPA, which grants sweeping powers to security forces in disturbed areas, has long been a contentious issue in the region, with recurring calls for its revocation from various quarters, including civil society groups and political leaders. The Jiliangrong United Committee Manipur Valley JUCM has condemned the brutal killings of civilians, including women and children, in Jiribam. In a press release, the committee expressed deep sorrow and outrage, calling the attack an act of cowardice and cruelty. It criticized both the state and central governments for their failure to prevent such militant activities, despite the deployment of central forces and state police in the region. The JUCM raised concerns about the suspension of operations, also known as Sioux Agreement, with certain Kuki militants group, alleging that these groups continue to carry out violent acts while in talks with the government. The committee urged the authorities to take decisive action against these militant groups and end the failure to protect innocent lives. They emphasized that such acts of violence severely undermine the state's law and order, creating an atmosphere of fear and insecurity. Additionally, the committee called on local MLAs to take strong measures to ensure peace and safety in the region. The vandalism at residence of Thangweban Assembly constituency MLA Khomukcham Joy Kisan by irate mob yesterday evening, which even leads to the destruction of temple inside the residence, was condemned by the Thangweban Kendra Development Organization. Speaking to the media at the community hall of Khoyathong, the volunteer of the relief camp opened at Khoyathong by Takdu Irungbam Sanayama defended MLA Joy Kishan against criticism over his inability to address the ongoing violence in Manipur, including the brutal killings and abductions of women and children by Kuki militants. She argued that as an MLA, he has limited powers and should not be blamed for the violence, expressing that the conflict has claimed many lives and the blame should not be placed solely on political leaders. She emphasized that Joy Kishan, as spokesperson for his party, is not responsible for the atrocities. They also expressed condemnation against the killing of women and children out by the Kuki militants following abducted from Jiribam.
Line Togani Hariko, Line Toga about back to Gaga, Kaibang and Bakaramba, my day Masano, quite again lure about line the way they may take it go. Punamak they lure about a talk with the oil, Halapa, line to my pass, say, Quiramaga, Limerian, said Toy Beni, Sibak, Kaibang Amiba, Mueva say, Sinaboka, my now, Quaggy, Labasham, Dopam, they know about some night of that. Moina tawri ben yom do yengoni adudai adu to hoi phare thugai ro leibak iraq ni ka emta tawdalsu akhoi jo dum yara ge hai anaba sidagi noigi moigi mama pa moi jang no moi sidi sibo mi di sidi dai akhoi sa na hat padi natte da na do hai re khoina adu isu hai ra kari no khangde kari khumai no su khangde kari no wangang na bam ta yade panglaw da lawi pangchai da sakhai ising hai dor bal au ba thugai re e few sator pai kai darka ta ge ba leibak pot thugai la iraba natraga asaw la iraba phare loi thugai roi yare haires amuk mathak ta kha each and every floor ka bai kari darka lai ge ba khara mana hai si thugai me chala sila khara mana yade
noi adu hangbai darka laite noi chatho na khoji in the ille lak lak na illa kan sida noi si yum se lai birami se MLA na noi ta paisa ka ya piraga ni aga lairami no hai akoi di MLA na ni aga thamamba sunate isagi just thangmai banda ngarang tak na khoi gi phire ama lor kana saudang lak thok khibadugi akoi ihau tawraga leijabadagi sumaina makoi na khoi thangmai banda mayam am haudana lak taragadi migi akoi gi mapi mapa oiba thangmai ban ken resi gi yumda horak taragadi akoi su karino haiba sidi isana changjang pam thoktro sangjal le haraga madu thengna jabani thengnara hangbasi mayangi wasi tadana nupi de bawda khut thadana khotna isa just to khutsi ngasi sambani ayukta ai khutte adagi khwang je yo chaina kalli kanja suno dubu kasu khande dubu laiba makhoi dudi iramdam sigi ihau sibu chawgatla kanda iramdam si kanji haibagi lakpo oiramdreba ngasai siriba mi taruk tugi nungaitaba phongdoksi akhoi sugumba isuji sagatminasi haibagi oiramdreba only lut oirameba sidi yam asengbani ko haijari boko sidi lut amani yam sauna lut tawani karamba leibak masa ta daba karamba maphamgi civil organization oigera karamba maphamgi maira paibi oigera khoijo mangjin thana thoibani ngasi iramdam sida pisak pinga de khoi organization sida haura aga lakpaneba adugu ma sakhottaba leibak masa ta daba thabak dudi issue dudi changjan deba
15 civil society organizations in Assam have come together to form a new body called the Coordinating Committee on Crisis of Meiteis Manipuris. The committee, which consists of 27 members and 5 advisors, was established yesterday following a consultative meeting organized by the All Assam Manipuri Students Union AMSU Central Committee at Itkolas, Awang Mandop. The CSOs involved in the formation of the committee include AMSU, CC, Global Human Rights, YMCA, SMCCA, WMC, MLPCC, AAM, WDC, Makal, WAC, AMT, Lakhipur, Kuno, Merapaibi, JDC, Joypur, Nongin, NGO, AAWMPCC, and MPF. In a statement issued after the meeting, the committee strongly condemned the killing of women and children allegedly abducted and killed by Kuki Jau Mar militants, as well as the actions of the Mar community at Silchar Medical College. The committee has called on the Assam government to take immediate action against those responsible for the abduction and killings of 6 women and children from Jiribam. They have demanded that the perpetrators be brought to justice and that stronger measures be taken to ensure public safety. Aid was provided today to the drivers and handymen of approximately 400 stranded trucks in Jiribam following the recent attack and subsequent arson of 2 trucks on National Highway 37 by suspected Kuki militants. The assistance, consisting of rice and dal, was distributed by the All Jiribam Road Transport Drivers Union under the guidance of its president N. Sadananda Meitei. He strongly condemned the attack on the trucks at Ikaro Mile along the highway, describing it as an act of violence that had caused significant disruption. He further emphasized that the union had been supplying rice and dal to the stranded drivers for the past few days to ensure their well-being. Additionally, the president called for enhanced security measures to ensure the safe passage of the remaining trucks and drivers, urging authorities to provide necessary protection as they continue their journey.
Jiribam sidasu lengang pukpi police station dagina koi jiri manung sidai tongan ba masa safagadaba mafam sing yengdana parking lauraga koi gari khamaga leinarapani hariba gari sing asina koi wana koi ising maising gi awaba seng sak leisalaktabgi awaba khorsa prasa leisalaktabgi awaba mayam si ujaraga all Jiribam road transport driver union na koi mamang desu ising kaya koi thangna sana ba mateng oina ba ising kaya piraga laksabani aduga ngasi su koi driver jing no wari bese masi khangje bagal oina na koi all Jiribam road transport driver union na sing amadi hawai na chingba lengang pokpi police station dagi hauraga Jiribam manung da khamiba gari sing asidai koi na khaga saruk thungna ba yenba laksabani.
Farmers harvesting paddy at Irengbam village in Bishnupur district narrowly escaped harm yesterday after suspected armed miscreants opened fire from Ejizang, disrupting their work and endangering lives. Responding swiftly, troops of the Assam Rifles stationed in the area returned fire, forcing the attackers to retreat. In a release, PRO Defense stated that in a decisive pursuit, the personnel discovered an abandoned camp believed to have been used to stage the attack. The camp contained administrative supplies, rations and bunkers, all of which were destroyed in collaboration with Kangpokpi police. The Assam Rifles' rapid action averted potential casualties and restored calm to the area, earning the gratitude of the local farming community. In a significant crackdown on the drug trade, the Assam Rifles seized 60 lakh rupees worth of WY drugs during a routine operation near Zaunom in Tengnopal district on November 15. During a search along a jungle route, personnel discovered a concealed packet containing 20,000 tablets of WY drugs weighing approximately 2 kilograms. The seized narcotics have been handed over to the Customs Department for further investigation and legal proceedings. Ministry of Defense PRO office stated that this operation highlights Assam Rifles' commitment to combating drug trafficking in the region. Before we wind up, let's have a quick look at the top news headlines once again. National People's Party announces withdrawal of support from Biren Singh-led government in Manipur, citing worsening law and order situation and failure to restore normalcy. Bodies of woman and child found in Barak River believed to be victims of November 11 Kuki Mar militant abduction in Jiribam, raising bodies recovery total to 5 official identities awaited. Manipur Congress demands urgent meeting between Manipur's political leaders and Prime Minister Modi over escalating violence, threatens resignations and fresh mandate if action is not taken. Curfew in Valley districts triggers severe disruptions. Security forces deploy in high-risk areas amid protests over alleged atrocities by suspected Kuki militants against abducted women and children. CRPF DG Anish Dayal Singh visits Manipur amid escalating violence, holds high-level meeting to assess security situation and plan response. And mobs attack Chief Minister's residence, ministers and MLA's homes. Security forces deployed tear gas and live ammunition, leaving 8 injured and 23 arrested. Well, that's all for now. Keep watching ICE News and good night.